guys, Wardfire here, and this is the special episode, I promise, of Forest Legends. We have played everything in the game, so we're nothing left of that, but in the extras, we have the story, and I will read all of them, so we get all the, background for the game and everything. So we're gonna, begin Volume 1, Creation of the World, and Creation of Life and stuff, so. Creation of the World, Volume 1. You have forgotten your roots. You can no longer tell truth from lies. Yet you think you know it all. Here is the truth. You know nothing. Let me tell you what happened. Before our world was created, land, sea, and air were blended together in a celestial soup. Land was not solid, sea was not liquid, nor was air lucid. Ur, the great god, took his divine cup, scooped up some primal clay, and fashioned this world with his own hands. As he admired his creation, cracks covered the sun, breaking its shiny coating, and a black hole appeared in the sky. A boundless sea, its waters dark, filled the valleys and gulfs of this world and then covered great swaths of land. When Ur saw this, he knew the clay had contained a nightfish egg that wound up in the newly created sun. Ur was enraged at his work being in vain, so he threw the world across the cosmos. Then Ur took his hair, made a sieve, and strained the clay. He used the purified clay to make another, perfect world. Its sun burned brightly, its waters were clear, its land could support every living thing. Ur no longer spent time on this world, so he chose a guardian to watch over it for him, Selena, goddess of the moon. Ur touched the moon, making it wise and powerful. At that moment, Selena opened her eyes and looked upon the world. She then shook her golden hair, sending sparks into the night sky. Set against the newly formed stars, the golden light of the moon was soft and soothing. Ur was pleased with his choice, so he tested her. Creation of Life, Volume 2. Ur could no longer spend time on this world, so he chose Selena as a guardian. To begin the trial, so he tested her. To begin the trials, Ur brought the spirit of fire to the new world. The land started to burn from within, filling it with magma. Mountains rose and mines swelled with resources. To manage the underground treasures, Selena placed dwarves in the mountains. They were as solid as the land itself, and daily mined a king's ransom in ore and gems. That made Ur smile. Next, Ur introduced the spirit of water. Previously dry land shimmered with morning dew, and streams gushed from mountains, filling rivers that flowed to newly formed seas. Springs even burst forth out of deserts. Selena placed small fish in the shallow waters, and giant whales in the depths of the oceans. She also made a flying fish that would jump out of the water and flash its colorful fins in the sunlight. Ur smiled. Then Ur brought the spirit of air to the new world. As magic winds blew across land and water, Selena looked at the mountain ranges and the huge caves that trapped the winds and made trolls. Then Ur brought the spirit of earth to the new world. Seeds covered the ground, and vast verdant forests and meadows sprang up in their place. Flowers bloomed, insects hummed, birds sang, and animals thrived. Humans also appeared at that time. They quickly built their first settlements and started to study the world. They worked earnestly, but without joy or wonder, to maintain their way of life. Eventually, the daily grind and boredom started to eat away at their spirits. Selena saw this and made magic creatures. Thus, the spirit of frivolity filled the world with fairies, pixies, and wise elves, the latter of which were skilled artists. When humans saw pixies perform funny tricks, they laughed for the first time. Then they heard elves play music, and their spirits sprung to life. Volume 3, Origin of Species. All of the races scattered and secluded themselves from one another. To unite all living beings again, Selena created goblins who were crafty and shrewd. goblins quickly showed their ingenuity by forming tribes and calling them a funny new word: corporations. The goblins were tireless. They started calling seashells money. In time, they began calling small metal discs and pieces of paper the same thing. Then their tribe started trading goods. Soon, the goblins engaged other races in their commerce. They even went underground to trade with the dwarves, like his giant belly. Dwarves don't like to waste time, so they immediately decided to trade with the goblins and exchange the metals they forged for medicines, potions, and other products. Over time, the dwarves increased their skills and grew rich, and word of their cunning spread across the world. I think it's supposed to say goblins. Okay, the goblins increased. Selena was sleeping on a cloud when the sound of mewing woke her up. She looked down and saw a small kitten huddled by itself in tall grass. It looked at Selena with starving blue eyes, which moved the goddess to tears. She nourished the poor kitten. She started to breastfeed it. Oh my goodness, okay. It scratched her, but Selena laughed and caressed its paws. The kitten then turned to a human child. As he drank the divine milk, his eyes turned golden. That was a little random. Some of Selena's power transferred to the baby through her milk. As she looked into the lake, she saw she had lost her golden color, and her hair had turned silver. But this only made Selena laugh. She left the sleepy child on the grass and returned to the cloud. This was how Selena gave her power to the Felizes, a new race of half-cats, half-men. The beastly part joined with the divine to make the golden-eyed Felizes elegant, wise, and just. The world was now in harmony. Everyone was connected and lived in accord. Volume 4, The Nagas. Was always moving and never stayed long in one place. He soon left the newly formed world to explore more of the cosmos. As he did, saw the first world he had made. The one he tried to destroy was still alive and inhabited by strange creatures. These dark creatures were half men, half snakes. Called them Nagas, as they came from the watery depths. He moved them to Selena's world and dropped them in the sea. This is how the Nagas became the lords of the deep waters and of the whirlpools. Selena wanted to touch the Nagas to bestow her blessing on them, but her gesture was in vain as she had no power over them. They were not her creation, but were much older than she. The goddess of the moon cried because of her powerlessness and her pity for the Nagas. Her tears dropped on the sandy shore and mingled with the waves, creating foam. Mermaids able to live on land and in water appeared in the froth. Volume 5, The Felizes Take Dominion. Felizes rose to dominance among the races. They built Dreamhood, their capital, and the magic forest. It was a majestic city. Ivy covered its white marble columns, and finely built bridges arched between tangled tree branches. The Felizes also built a massive throne room in the main palace, where their patriarchs negotiated and settled disputes. With their lion-like bodies, human minds, and Selena's magic power, the Felizes ruled the new world. They could not use magic themselves, but they did have power over elves and other magic creatures. To ensure stability, kings passed their governance to their sons, although the sons had to prove their right to the throne before the High Council of Dreamhood. Wow, I like how there was a guy who's got very little clothes on. I really hope that, the wind doesn't catch this, because I really don't want to know what's underneath. Selena gave a magic mirror to the first Feliz king. This mirror, which was placed in the throne room, only reflected true kings who had dropped their blood on its surface. But the mirror held a secret. The blood didn't make the royal magic work, but the virtue of the would-be sovereign. Only a royal heart could overcome the mirror's spell. The maze was the next trial. The Feliz queen was the keeper of his key. Selena gave the key to the first king, who passed it to his wife. Since then, mothers have passed the sacred key to their sons, and they in their turn have given it to their wives to keep for their heirs. The key turned the mirror in the throne room into a portal to a parallel universe. When a Feliz stepped through the portal, he entered the maze. The Felizes believed another world based on a different set of laws existed on the other side of the magic door. Nobody but the king knew what was waiting for the challenger in the maze. But if the ruler was worthy of the kingdom, he would pass the tests and then return through the portal to the throne room. After that, he would receive the crown and the key to the maze. Upon being installed as ruler, the king would pass the key to his wife, who was always a human woman. Alright. Volume 6, The Way of the Felizes. Felizes have always been closely connected with humans. Only a woman blessed by Selena was able to support the divine aspect of the ferocious beasts. Felizes were always born during a full moon, which was when Selena, the goddess of the moon, would light one more star in the sky and wash her face with morning dew. A human woman that drank water reflecting a full moon, gave birth to a daughter 7 months later. The child was destined to marry a Feliz. Okay, so they were only 7 months. Okay. As the girl was born early, her mother knew she would marry a Feliz. The premature delivery did not affect the child's well-being, for she and her Feliz were closely connected from the beginning, and his power and health compensated for her lack of the same as a human. So, the girls born to marry Felizes were not like other human girls. They were more sophisticated, and very healthy, kind-hearted, and considerate. The primary function of Feliz women was using their humanity to preserve the divine in their husbands. The latter were always on the verge of going into a rage, and only their wives could prevent them from plunging into the abyss. They're totally men. Sorry. The Felizes gave birth only to sons. That's how Selena made sure they would develop and survive, and be strong enough to rule the magic forest. Volume 7, Human Nature. Humans had always lived in accord with Selena's other creatures, and had never complained about their Feliz brothers. Fairies skirted over the streets of human villages. Men and goblins broke bread on holidays and during festivals, and even trolls were invited to sit at the table. The world was in harmony, following the path of wisdom and contemplation. The world would have gone on like this forever, but the Nagas interfered. The sly and cruel creatures on the sea were envious of the other races, and their desire to reclaim the empire they lost made them resort to ancient black magic. First, the Nagas tried to revive their dead universe, and they did. By summoning a ball of antimatter from the sea, they created the Black Sun, their dark goddess. This immediately disturbed the balance in the world. You reap what you sow. In time, the flaws the dark goddess brought into the world sprang up in the hearts of kings who passed evil down to their sons. Doubt took root in the human soul. Soon, bold men claimed Selena didn't exist. At first, people laughed, but eventually they listened. Then mankind started to experiment with science. Magic became something to distrust and then to loathe. Human authorities eventually outlawed the use of magic and the worship of Selena. They also seized every magic book and item they could find and threw them into the basement of the research library. And they secretly told magic creatures to refrain from entering a human settlement. Not so secret. Volume 8, Beginning of the End. Harmony in the realm of the Felizes also was disrupted. Marbrut, the king's advisor, spent 3 years in the eastern lands, near the seas of the Nagas. While there, he became familiar with the dark goddess, whom the Nagas worshipped by shedding blood in the name of the Black Sun. When Marbrut returned to Dreamhood, he accused the king of worshipping Selena in the wrong manner. As proof of how a goddess should be worshipped, he produced an ancient scroll the Nagas had given him. It demanded a human to be sacrificed once a year. The king tried to tell his people their goddess would never accept a blood sacrifice, but his efforts were in vain, and the Felizes made their first sacrifice to the goddess of the moon, a black hen. The goddess did not want the blood, as life was precious to her, and it weakened her divine power. But the Felizes continued their abhorrent practice year after year, slowly killing their goddess in the process. When she was at her weakest, the Nagas dealt a devastating blow. They sacrificed an entire settlement of humans. But neither the Felizes nor the rest of the humans cared about that crime. Rather, they were too busy with their own affairs. The Nagas slaughtered enough victims to open a black hole which swallowed the sun, plunging the world into darkness for an entire day. When Selena realized she had lost without even starting a war, the goddess decided to pour all of her divine energy into the next baby born to the Feliz royal couple. When the queen gave birth to a girl named Eveline, Selena lost all of her power. And she was reincarnated in Eveline. That was all the story of the game. So, hope you guys enjoyed this special me reading, basically. But I thought it was very interesting learning about the background and the story of the game, which is always cool. With the world we have been traveling in for lots of hours, quite a while. And thank you guys for listening and watching. And yeah, that's basically it. So take care, and I will see you soon.